Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Those of you who have been with us since the beginning, and those of you who have been with us here and there's about, and those of you who have just subscribed, as well as those of you who are contemplating subscription, and those of you who are incognito, we often offer to you an opportunity to subscribe. But remember to turn on your subscription notification in your settings on the app. And we thank God for you calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes, we're in the book of Isaiah chapter 15. You're walking with Mr. Clay. I'm Mr. Clay. And before I was talking about, you had in the year the king Uzziah died. Now that was the father. The Most High talked about the Assyrians and how that they were going to be subdued. Then later on we see in a latter chapter that how in the year King Ahaz died, the Most High showed the prophet Isaiah even the succession of not only the Assyrians but the Babylonians' defeat. That the Most High was because they have treated the children of Jacob and Israel most hideously. And now we get to Isaiah chapter 15. This is during the time, during the year King Ahaz died, a son of King Uzziah. Yes. And it reads, the burden of Moab, because in the night of of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence, because in the night of of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence. He has gone up to Baalhith, or it could be it could be, it says Bajith, but apparently these, you can tell by the B that they were Baal worshippers. And to Dibon, and the high places to weep. Moab shall howl over Nebo, and over Medeba, and over their heads shall be baldness, and every beard cut off. In their streets they shall gird themselves with sackcloth on the tops of their houses, and in their streets everyone shall howl. Now we know Moab and also Ammon are incestuous sons of Lot, in which his two daughters seduced him through drunkenness to lay with them, to impregnate them, to bear sons unto their father. A noble gesture was that, but not lawful. But yet alone, still, they were akin to Israel. They dwelt in the mountains up there near not Moab, but Esau, Mount Edom. Yes, they were near the mountains of Edom. Now those were mountains. They were big, tall mountains, the mountains of Edom, and also the caves of Moab. Moab, when Lot left, should I say, Sodom and Gomorrah, and they dwelt in a cave. If you read the story, and if you go in further into the other books, such as the book of Jasher and the book of Jubilees, you'll find out they dwelt in a cave. And also, if you go into historical accounts, you find out at the end of the Salt Sea, or should I say near it's all of that is running into the Jordan River, or running out of the Jordan River, or the Dead Sea, or whatever you want to call it. At the end of it, toward the west of the Euphrates, you're going to find out that there are deposits. Historically, they have found deposits of sulfur and, black spots. But the ones further west, or should I say east, denies that in the made up Jerusalem. Now you have that Jerusalem, and then you go down either further west. West, yes, we're going west. Euphrates is east, and we're going west of the Dead Sea. There are deposits of sulfur, blackened spots where it's been burned and everything. You see, there are also, should I say, there are ruins there also. Now, in the caves of Lot really, they hid in caves because their mother was destroyed. Whether she became a pillar of salt or whatever, we don't know. But the fact is that she was, well, the human body is made up of salt and all other minerals and everything. And if you dry it up, you're going to get white powders, you're going to get black powders, you're going to get all kinds of minerals out of the human body. Now, enough of that. But either way, he says, in their streets they shall gird themselves with sackcloth on the tops of their houses, and in their streets shall they howl, weeping abundantly. And Heshbon shall cry, and Eliah, their voice shall be heard, even unto Yahaz. It says it with a J, but it should be a Y. Therefore the armed soldiers of Moab shall cry, out of his life shall be grievous. You have to realize, one thing about Moab and Edom, they joined to anyone that would come against Israel for some reason or another. And again, my heart shall cry out for Moab, his fugitives shall flee unto Zoar, and heifer of 3 years old. For by the mounting up of Lilith, with weeping shall they go up, for in the way of Horonaim they shall raise up their cry of destruction. Now Zoar is more toward the west, closer to the Red Sea, near the, should I say, the tongue that connects Egypt to the land of Shem. Okay, here we go again. Now these are Shemites. You have Moab, that's a son of Shem. You have Edom, a son of Shem. This was the land of Shem, because Shem this was the land that was promised unto Shem. And apparently Esau took his place in the land of his father that was given to him by the I Am. Now, for some reason, Jacob had a lot to go through before he could occupy his land, the land that was allotted to him, that was the land of his father. Now, for you have to realize, if you read the book of Jasher, you find out that Ham, his son Canaan, was warned by his father not to take that land, and his brothers also, Mizraim and the rest of them. They warned him not to take that land because it was given unto Shem, and his children would suffer. And so it is even to this day. Now, it says now, he says now, for by mounting up of Lilith with weeping shall they go it up. For in the way of Hashranim they shall raise up and cry for destruction. This is basically what we could say, the destruction that it came about with the Most High using the, should I say, the Persians. The Persians, they have reaped great destruction. The Medes and the Persians. And we're going to go on. For the waters of Nimrim shall be desolate, for the hay is withered away, for the grass faileth, and there is no green thing. In other words, desertification. Therefore the abundance they have gotten that which they have laid up shall they carry away to the brook of the willows. Now we have to realize that land is desert now, but mostly desert, but it was at one time luscious and green. During the time of Abram, during the time of Jacob, during the height of Egypt. This land, the desert wasn't even, you wouldn't know it to look at it at that time, that it was a desert. But the Most High did that for a reason. But we still don't understand the Most High. We still don't want to know Him. But we want to judge the Most High. We want to cause the Most High to be sentenced. And some of you would have Him to be put to death, as they did in a narrative that they say they killed God with this fictitious Isis. Now, again, he says, therefore, the abundance they have gotten and that which they have laid up they shall carry away to the brook of the willows. The brook of the willows. Willows grow in the brooks and the waterways. Yes, they do. Now, for the cry is gone around about the borders of Moab, and the howling thereof unto Eglaim, and the howling thereof unto Berilim. For the waters of Demon shall be full of blood. This is where the battle shall take place. Yes. By the waters of Demon shall be full of blood. For I will bring more upon Demon, lions upon him, that escapeth of Moab. So the lion's going to have a feast. Is that what's happening? There's a battle, yes. But yet, he's going to escape to there. He's wounded, and the lion's going to get a hold of him. Now, this place is pretty close to the Red Sea. And you have to realize, there's no lions there now. There was. There were lions all over the place. All over northeast Africa and above the Sahara and the sub-Sahara Africa. You say, why do the lighter nations have to be in the north? They like to be on top. Look, the biggest trucks, the biggest everything. They just want it big. But it's kind of funny how the Most High can take something very small and subdue that which is big. Yes. He's declared in the word of the ancients, that the Most High takes those things that are small or that are foolish to confound the wise, and that are weak to confound the mighty. Yes, and so on and so forth. Yes, and for the waters of Demon shall be full of blood. For I will bring more upon Demon, lions upon him that escapeth of Moab, and upon the remnant of the land. So the Most High is saying, this is how you're going to be subdued. You're going to go into battle. You're going to be sorrowful because you cannot defeat this enemy that I'm about to bring upon you. You're going to run. Then I'm going to go after all of you who have joined in to these other nations that have subdued the ones that I have chosen. And now this is what's going to happen to you. Yes. So this is what's going to happen to the nations that we see today, but it's going to be even more so. Greater. Bring nations that are so equipped. These nations will not have to. Can you imagine? There's a nation, I don't like to mention their names, but there's a nations that have this robotic equipment that they can sit back and push buttons and give it an AI to subdue a certain people of a certain hue with a certain look about themselves. They don't even have to send their soldiers into the land that they choose not to. But the robots, the AIs with AI intelligence, can go into there and they can shield their AIs from EMPs. I'm sure they have already thought of this. You think you're going to put your microwave or your certain EMP toward the robot when the robot has a internal shielding inside of it? I don't think it's going to work, because you can also make shielded cables that can be shielded against EMPs also. And therefore, It might be rough for you. 1,000 robots against your robots. And it's be kind of messed up that the robots also, their robots are carrying EMPs also to subdue your robots. And then they get to your soldiers. The first line, the robots. And then the second line, flesh and blood. And then the capture of a country. But these people will not want your country. They don't want your women. They don't want your babies. They just want to subdue you so that you never rise again playing Ender's Game. Because what is in you has been shown throughout history. Even China remembers what had happened. Even when they tried their goodwill in the ancient times with the Europeans, and how that the Europeans during that time accepted their gifts free of charge, and then they come again, and eventually, according to his book, The Discoverers by Daniel Bornstein, they start charging them tariffs. But these tariffs were just rip-offs. They would keep the money themselves and charge the customers whatever they would. And the Chinese decide they will close their borders and close off everything from the Europeans until that time that the Europeans and the Japanese came against them. And if we do these things that are right before the Most High, even in statutes, commandments, ordinances, and laws, we will have peace. And our enemies will be at peace with us. Yes. Shalom.